gentlemen, welcome back once again.
Every morning there's a halo hanging from the corner of my girlfriend's four-post bed.
The Bobby Couto Show.
I know it's not mine, but I'll see if I can use it for the weekend or a one-night stand. Couldn't understand how to work it out. Once again, as predicted,
I remember some really great times. Mr. Mark McGrath, SugarRay. Guys, this was 1998. Do you remember 1998? I have a tough time remembering 98 because I turned 21 years old in 1998. Every morning I woke up with a headache. Welcome everyone. Welcome. Episode 18, The Bobby Couto Show. So glad to be here, guys. I mean, I'll be honest with you. It feels like it's been a little bit. It feels like it's been longer than 7 days. A whole lot of stuff is going on this week. I mean, unless you live under a rock, between the political, between the idea that, listen, I don't want to shock anybody. At the time of this recording, there is currently 10 days to Christmas. Chances are, by the time you're hearing this, it's probably 9 days to Christmas. And then, obviously, less and less thereafter. So if you haven't already, guys, get out there and get your shopping done. You don't want to wait much longer. Welcome everybody. Welcome. So good to be here. Was out shopping today, out and about. If anybody follows on the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, I've been trying to keep up with the story. Obviously, keeping relevant with the show. Obviously everything that I read about the podcast. And I like to keep you guys in on the inside because I don't like to keep secrets. I think it's not good for us to keep secrets from each other. And the research that I do, it really shows that, if I want to grow my audience and have more audience engagement, then I need to kind of, really add more content to the, the social media end of it. I will tell you guys that I am by no way, shape, or form an expert at social media. I'm still trying to figure it out, and let me apologize first of all to everyone that has to kind of go through it. I know that I'm actually doubling up on some posts and whatever, but I appreciate you all supporting the show and all the content. I will tell you that a lot of fans, which actually people that I have known throughout my life, and some of which follow me on my own personal social media, and also follow the show's social media as well. So I tend to post. I try not to. You know what I mean? I try not to post on both, but really, guys, this is the Bobby Couto Show. So ultimately, everything that I'm discussing here is what's going on in my life. So without question, it's gonna be, one is literally gonna bleed into the other. Which I think is kind of cool because, I think it breathes life into what it is I'm saying. I think we can all agree that you can listen to and watch pretty much anything. And the things that you're hearing and the things that are said, the people that are saying them typically don't live them. But that's not the truth here. The truth here is this is my life. This is you're hearing it firsthand, and I try to keep this as unfiltered as absolutely possible. The only time that I would ever consider any type of filters, I respect people's privacy, and I would never want to, say somebody's name or say something that someone might not be comfortable with. But hey, listen, if you didn't know, 1998, that's when that song Every Morning came out. That was SugarRay. Those guys were big there. They were huge. They were doing the, if you guys remember, they were doing the, geez, and I believe that's what spawned our trip to Mexico. We went to Mexico in '98, but it was spring breaks, and it was MTV Spring Break Live. And if you guys remember, I mean, it was like an annual event waiting for that to come on MTV and to be a part of that. And, Mexico became a big part of that. And I don't even know if they still do it. I would think that, I mean, the amount of money that was involved in that, I wonder if they still do it. I mean, it's shame on me for not knowing that, but I would think that they still are. But I know back then it was a pretty big deal. And, SugarRay, Mark McGrath, I know he still does some hosting work. I believe maybe it's one of those Entertainment Tonight or one of those shows that he's still pretty fun. But if you guys didn't know, he was born in 1968. So by no means is he a spring chicken. Not that that's old, but I mean just in the sense of the entertainment industry, you kind of lose sense of people aging. But he was born in 1968, and they did really well. I think their first couple of albums, SugarRay came out, they were kind of like a punk rock kind of band, and they kind of shifted their music element and made it more of a pop culture-y kind of California beach music, and they did well. They did really, really well. They were they had a couple of big hits. They had Every Morning, Someday. There were a couple of other ones too. Make It Easy. That was that was another popular one as well. But they're still. I think they're still out there. They're still performing. They're still out there hustling. So hats off to you, Mark McGrath and SugarRay. A lot of good memories back then. And if you know what, that kind of music, it literally just brings you back, and you think, I can't help but think about the summertime and the warm weather. I mean, especially now in New England, it's cold. It's been rainy. It's just been miserable weather. Not that helps anybody, right? With shopping and being out there, and it's not hot enough that you're trying to find a parking spot, but just trying to not walk into the store soaking wet. But we are all soldiers, and we can make it through it. We were shopping today, and I'll tell you, we went into. Can I tell you guys something? Let me just get this out in the open. Michael's, like, irrelevant anymore. I mean, what's the point? I mean, I went specifically looking for. This is me just bitching, and I was kind of looking for either a 10 by 10 square frame or an 8 by 8 square frame. And I know, guys, I can go on Amazon and I can order it, but I just happened, we were walking, couldn't find a parking spot close to TJ Maxx, which is where we were going. So we ended up parking way across the parking lot, which is fine because, you know what, I don't mind walking with the wife. And we were holding hands, kind of walking. I'm like, it's a little strip mall kind of area. So we stopped into Michael's with this idea that I was going to find myself a literally square 8 by 8 or, like I said, a 10 by 10 frame. And we scored the whole store and checked every shelf, and of course, nothing. So, outside of that, for the few times that I go to Michael's, you know what I mean? The one time that I'm looking for something that you would think that they would have, and they didn't. So, that's probably the last time I'll ever walk in there. You guys do, like, if you do arts and crafts, I guess you go in there quite often, but I don't. So, a couple of times that I've gone in there for certain specific things, and it just, I should just go with my gut and just go with Amazon. So listen, just to kind of get back on, the beginning of the show, talking about 1998, really cool times. A lot happened that year. I mean, if you haven't kept track between now and then, which I'm hoping that you didn't, because otherwise you know what the show's about. That was 21 years ago, guys, and a lot of things happened. And even that, 21 years ago, if you were looking to buy a house, 1998, it would probably run you around $129,000. That's about right, $130,000. Your average income per year was about $40,000. Your rent was about $619. Jeez, well, that's probably like a 2-bedroom. Cost of gas, there you go. It already went past that $1 mark, $1.15. You know what? I believe that once gas went past that $1 mark, it never came back. It's just been kind of out of control since then. Your average new car was going to cost you about $17,000. The stamp was 32 cents. Gee, a stamp, 32 cents. A pound of bacon. It's funny you think a pound of bacon, right? But, when you realize that 90% of our bacon comes from China, $2.53 a pound. Not bad. Dozen of eggs will cost you 88 cents. Pretty cool. Guys, welcome everybody. I so happy to be here again. I just, I wanted to kind of touch base with everybody and circle back. I know last episode, really exciting having a guest in and just really having the opportunity to kind of try a couple of different things. I know, first of all, let me, again, I'm full of apologies today. I want to apologize for the Facebook live cast. I've never done it before, so from what I understand, the first 20 minutes or so, I think we had turned the camera the wrong way. But in my defense, I did ask Gary, and he told me that it would work that way in widescreen mode. But unfortunately, it did not. And by the time I started reading the comments, and eventually we figured it out, and we made it work. But really, it was just more of the fun of it. I wanted to see how that would work, and to be honest with you, I'd love your feedback. If you guys enjoyed it, if it's something that you think, maybe do that again. I don't know that I would want to do it all the time, because for me personally, I think it kind of lets the cat out of the bag. I think part of the show, part of the element of the show is the delivery. Whether it be Monday morning when you get up and you get in your vehicle, Monday afternoon get in your vehicle or your car, or you get to work, or whatever, however you listen to the show. If you're at the gym, you pop your earbuds in and you turn on the Bobby Couto Show. I think part of that is just not knowing what the show's about and getting it for that first time. And although live casting is a really cool element, I think it brings in a totally completely different element and engagement to the show. I think I think it's a nice addition to the show. I just don't know that it's something that I want to do all the time. But I thought it was really cool to have it, while Gary was here, and kind of experience it with him. Gary's never been. Him and I were on the show, but he's never done a podcast. He's never done anything like this before. So for him, it was really, the first time doing something like this. And for me, quite honestly, I've had guests on the show before, but pretty standard. I people that I talk to all the time. Gary, again, him and I will text a lot. Although we are involved in each other's lives, we don't talk every single day. So. It was really nice to kind of sit down with him and literally over 2 hours just talk about just a little bit of everything, and really adding just a couple of elements to the show like I typically do, just because I like to bring some of that relevant in. It was just, I thought it was some really good dialogue. I laughed, just thought about some things I hadn't thought about in a while. And again, it just the Facebook engagement with the Facebook Live, I thought was pretty awesome. And again, I want to do that again, but maybe we'll do that with the next guest. Maybe that's how we'll format that. We'll have guests come on the show, and when they do, maybe we'll do as long as they're okay with it, we'll do the live cast, and you guys can enjoy that live while we record it, and then hopefully drop it shortly thereafter. So got through that, guys. I wanted to just kind of clear the air on the Facebook Live thing. I think that was really, really good for the show. As I mentioned before, guys, we continue to grow and pick up more and more subscribers, more interaction on the social media relevant. If you guys have been following, some improvements to the studio. I hope that I'm sounding even more clear and defined to you on the other end. Added some acoustical panels to the studio, some lighting for mood. I think it's all important. I think all of it is important. When you're behind the microphone and you begin to deliver some of this information, and your environment is very important. It's not to think like you're inside of a square box. It's more the idea of being comfortable and almost traveling on this journey, and taking you guys along with me. So, I'm really grateful for that. I'm glad that we're at this point, literally 18 episodes in, I've been doing the Etsy with the merchandising. That's going absolutely fantastic. The funny thing is not even thinking about it. I was having a conversation with Rachel, and she says, "Hey, do you realize that you're gonna be somebody's Christmas gift?" And I thought to myself, "Gee, how cool is that?" Right? There've been some orders, placed, and I'd like to think that these orders have been placed recently, and that somebody's gonna get an official Bobby Couto merchandise product for Christmas, right? Opening, whether it be the box or getting your mug, getting your your Bobby Couto hat or your Bobby Couto sweatshirt. Guys, I'm so humbled by that. You know what I mean? I think that that's not about me. It's not about me. It's about this message, guys. It's about that you're here. It's about that you're sharing this experience with me. It's about that that we can share this ride, this journey together, and have opinions and have conversation. And even though we may not agree all the time, but the idea that we can talk about these situations and discuss them reasonably. You know what I mean? You have to. I have to believe that most reasonable people, want to talk about the things that just aren't working. And with that said, it's just and I hate to even bring it up because again, this isn't a political show, but I probably 2 days ago, I sent a tweet out and just asked the fans, hey, if you have any questions for the show, hit me up. Let me answer some questions. And of course, I get a couple of questions that came through that we'll get to along the show. But one of those was how I feel about this, the Trump impeachment. And I was gonna save this for the end of the show, but I think what, I don't want to burden the end of the back end of the show with something like that. And I think it's important for me to answer that question. I think because really how you feel about this whole impeachment process really speaks and displays where you are, whether it be emotionally or mentally committed in either direction. So with that said, let's 1998, just so that we kind of talk about. Because me, guys, I like to stay relevant. I like to stay on top of things. It's not an accident that I chose 1998 as the year for the show, because 1998 was actually the year that, as a matter of fact, it was on December 16th, I believe. But 21 years ago, the impeachment of Bill Clinton, the 42nd president of the United States. He was impeached, and I believe he was impeached. It actually, everything was completed. It was on December 19th, I apologize, of 1998. And he was brought up on all kinds of charges. And everybody remembers the whole Monica Lewinsky thing. But he was actually a representative of Commerce, impeached the proceedings of Bill Clinton, the 42nd president of the United States, for high crimes and misdemeanors. The specific charges against Clinton were lying under oath and obstruction of justice. The charges stemming from a sexual harassment lawsuit filed against Clinton by Paula Jones, and from Clinton's testimony denying that he had LSD. Remember Paula Jones? And then the sexual relationship that he had with Mrs. Monica Lewinsky, or Ms. Monica Lewinsky. She ended up turning up. She made a fortune with that. She ended up going on and selling handbags or something like that, and she made a small fortune. The whole victim. She played the victim in that situation. But quite honestly, guys, I'm not going to sit here and pretend, and I would hope that none of you believe for 1 second that any of these politicians are, morally fit or responsible for their actions. Because the answer to that is no. They literally have no self-control whatsoever. They try to, and typically, and this is no offense to the lawyers of the world. Because there are a lot of people out there practicing law that are doing wonderful things, but a lot of these politicians are lawyers that, at some point, one time or another, someone told them that hey, listen, you'd be good at this, and typically, what does it mean to be a good politician? And I think being a good politician, and let me take a step back. Being a successful politician and being a good politician, I think, are two different things. Being a successful politician is someone who's just going to say things just to appease his audience or her audience. A good politician is the one that's going to take a beating because they take a stand and try to do the right thing whenever possible. I don't know many of those politicians. And to be quite honest, if you look back in history, it'd be really difficult to find one. They all preach upon one another. And how wonderful they are and how great they are, when they're staring down at their casket. But when they're in the when they're in the Senate, when they're in Congress, when they're in these situations, they say the most derogatory, demeaning, horrible things to one another, including, calling them out on actions, DUI, whatever this whole impeachment with, I guess the long and short, where I'm getting with this is this whole impeachment process, even the one now with Trump, and the only reason why I bring up Bill Clinton is because it's relevant to the point I'm going to make. If you guys are watching this, the whole, they just brought up the 2 articles of impeachment for, and Steve, this is for you. This is to answer your question about how I feel about the impeachment process. The 2 articles were brought up, and they're going to go to the House of Representatives. One is the abuse of power, and then soliciting another country to interfere with our elections. Those are the charges that are being brought up on the president. So it was real funny, and it didn't dawn on me until I heard Trump say it. And what he said was, if you heard it on the news, they keep repeating it over and over again. He's like, well, I imagine at some point there's going to be a Democratic president, and when there is, the Republicans are going to remember this. And then at that point, it dawned on me that really, you know what this is? This is payback. This whole thing is payback, guys. That's what this is. This whole rigmarole, costing the taxpayers bazillions of dollars. This is it's like a dog and pony show. It's shenanigans on an epic level. So now it's the Democrats doing it to the Republicans when the Republicans did it to the Democrats. So they did it to Bill Clinton, right? They actually impeached Bill Clinton. So now the Democrats are going to impeach Donald Trump. Yeah, see what I'm saying? So it's this constant just back and forth and over again, and just this constant repetition of the same bullshit over and over again, and they want us to believe, guys. Again, even if you want to impeach Trump, I don't, but you might. But even if you do, right? How is that going to help the country? And that's the question right here, guys. That's the question I'm asking you all. How is that going to help our situation and help the country? How does impeaching Donald Trump, the president of the United States, help us in any way, shape, or form? What did he do? Did he reach out to the Ukraine and said, "Hey, listen, I think there was this going on with Biden, and I want you to investigate it." Was that right for him to do so? And again, I don't want to repeat myself because I brought this up in previous podcasts, but it probably wasn't right for him to do it for the reasons that he's doing it, because obviously he wants to catch Biden on something. There's no question about it. And if he, in doing so, we all know that Biden at this point is the Democratic candidate. So if he could eliminate him by disclosing this fraudulent activity in the Ukraine, then of course to him it's in his benefit. But let me ask you guys, even if that's the case, and I've said this before, even if that's the case, so what if they do investigate? What if they do find out that Biden had some involvement in this and it was all corrupt and there was money, right? Don't you want to know that? Because he's going to be the next president. And if he's the next president, does that mean that the Republicans are going to find out anyway, and then they're going to impeach him, and then we just continue on this ridiculous, just constant, the true absolute definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results? Like the Justice Department, shame on you. Meanwhile, while this is going on, right? Meanwhile, you got Kim Jong-un shooting missiles again in North Korea, right? I mean, this guys, I'm not trying to, and I don't want to sound like I'm frustrated, but I am, because you know what? I don't think we get enough credit. I don't think we're getting enough credit. I think they think we're stupid. I think they think you're stupid. I think they think I'm stupid. And they're going to continue to do this, and then they'll go to the House, and then we'll go to court, and then Mayor Giuliani will get involved. And listen, I know, and I'm gonna and I hope I don't rustle any feathers, but I probably will. The whole Bill Clinton thing was bullshit. By the time they were done with it, okay, so Bill Clinton was in the Oval Office, right? And he got a Hummer in the Oval Office, and it went bad, right? And this girl decided, hey, listen, I want something from you, right? And you're not going to give it to me. Okay, well, if you don't give it to me, then I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. You know what I mean? Like that. That's how that all happens. But ultimately, how did impeaching him help us as a nation? It didn't. It didn't. It just created a whole bunch of noise, and shortly thereafter, we got airplanes that are flying into the World Trade Centers. Right? Instead of the Justice Department, doing what they're supposed to do, doing what their job is which is protecting American people, which is protecting you, which is protecting me. Like, that is their duty. That is their job. That is what they're supposed to do. But instead, they're too busy. You know what they're too busy doing? They're too busy investing in the president for getting a Hummer in the Oval Office. You know what I think? I think Hillary Clinton should have dealt with that. I think there should have been a private matter, because if you get a Hummer from somebody in your office, you're going to have to deal with your special loved one. Whether it be your husband, your wife, whoever it may be, your girlfriend, your boyfriend. If they find out that you got some Hummer in some office somewhere, and guess what? It's not going to be a matter for me. It's not going to be a matter for your neighbors. It's going to be a matter between you two. So why is it any different? I mean, don't get me wrong. The fact that he did it in the Oval Office. I mean, the disrespect to the nation. Yes, I'm with you on all that. But all in all, when you strip that all away, guys, what good came out of that? How many millions and millions of dollars did that cost the taxpayers? How many other people, how many other situations needed help? Needed our representatives to actually work together in a cohesive manner to come up with some good laws and maybe, maybe just coming up with some solutions to problems. But that's not how government works, right? That's not how it works. It's this constant just churn of negativity, and the world is going to end, and if you need us, and if you don't have us, you can't survive. And you know what? It's all lies, guys. None of it's true. And they say whatever they want to say, and when they say it, once you hear it, you believe it. Right? It might not even be true. But the fact that you hear it, you automatically think that it's true. Right? That's right. That's just the way it is. I mean, you hear it enough times and you start to believe it. So in the long short of it and all this, how do I feel about this whole Donald Trump impeachment thing? I think it's a huge and absolute waste of time for the American people. I think it's costing us way too much money. I think it's way too distracting to what's going on in the world right now. I think there are things going on in the world right now that require our attention, and this is not one of them. I mean, how do you, in the whole whistleblower thing? Okay, whistleblower, I get it. But how is it that even in the court of law, like, if someone were to blow the whistle on me, right? If I did something stupid, right, and somebody blew the whistle on me, like, don't I have the right to address my accuser? Like, isn't that our right? Right? My accuse, like, if you're accusing me, then by all means, I have my constitutional right is that I get to address my accuser, right? You just can't say something about somebody and then walk away and then never be responsible ever again. How does that even? See what I'm saying, guys? It's all smoke and mirrors. They want you to believe these things, and they want you to think that they're doing things in your best interest, but it isn't. It really isn't. It's not in your best interest. You know what this is? This is a perfect example. This is a pissing match, right? These are kids. It's a pissing match. It's the you know what? And I'll use this example because you know what? Because I'm from Boston. So the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees, and they're playing a baseball game, right? And I don't know, somebody whips a baseball, almost hits somebody in the head, right? What happens? Everybody gets upset. Oh, right. The next inning, the Yankees pitch, they throw the ball in the guy's head. Oh, everybody gets upset. Then the next inning, all of a sudden, they throw the ball, they actually hit somebody, right? Oh, then they come storming the mound. Oh, it's a big to-do. Everybody storm. No, but just remember, guys, seriously, like just play this all out in your head. If you watch any of these, Major League Baseball kills me. And this is the same thing. It's the same thing with politics. They all storm the field, right? But are they actually, like, fighting? I mean, have you seen baseball? I mean, if anybody watches hockey, right? Like, you watch a hockey player fight. Like, you see a hockey player fight. Like, you watch boxing. You see UFC. Like, you can see people fight. You see baseball players fight. Like, it's the most hilarious thing in the world, right? They all storm each other. They're all whacking and smacking each other like a bunch of kids in the playground, right? Like, there's no, you know what I mean? And then the next thing, the same thing happens. Oh, the guy throws the ball, hits the guy, and in the field, they all storm the field again. That's what this is. This is the Democrats throwing baseballs. This is the Republicans throwing baseballs. That's what this is, back and forth. You know what the problem is, guys? It's longevity of time. And I'll say it this way. I can assure you at one point in your life, there was somebody who either wronged you or maybe somebody you wronged. But over the length of time, they say time is the healer. Over the length of time, somehow, as people, humans, we tend to desensitize ourselves over a given amount of time. The good thing, the thing that the government's really good at is time. So what they do is they span these things out over long periods of time, and then they fill in the blanks. And these impeachment processes is just something that they do just to hold the other one up. But in reality, the only people that are suffering in all this is us, are the citizens, are all the immigrants that are trying to get into the country legally, try to go through the process. It's all being held up. Like, we can't pass any laws because we're spending 14 hours of the day talking about bullshit. And I'll say it, it's all bullshit. If listen, guys. Again, I will never come on here and pretend to be a political scholar, but I'm going to tell you something right now. Everything that I have watched, and everyone that I have spoken to that has watched, there has been nothing definitive for this to even go as far as it's gone. Like, I don't understand it. Like, every time they get like a witness up there, then they the cross-examination it's ridiculous. Did you ever give money to? Yes. Did you ever give money to? Yeah. So everything is one-sided. Like, all your witnesses have a political agenda. How is this? I mean, how are we buying into this? How is this even possible that we're eating all this shit hook, line, and sinker? I don't know. I don't get it. But you know what, guys? I think, like, as a nation, as a people, that we have to come together and say no more. How does that happen? Right? How does that happen? And I asked this question in the same way that, when I worked at Comcast, it was funny. I could never, like, even today, guys, if I have a problem with my services, and you know what, just off the top of my head, like AT&T wireless, like, that's my cell phone carrier. I have such a tough time with them, and every time I call them, it's always a struggle, and I can never get a hold of anybody that's going to help me. When I worked at Comcast, I don't know how people used to do it, but somehow people used to get through, and somehow get the president, the CEO, the company, I don't know how they would do it, but they would somehow get that information to the highest powers that be, and they would get action. How do we do that? How do we do that with this situation? Tell me who it is, because I'll do it. Because it's this whole bullshit about, hey, call your selectman and call. You know what? Nobody's listening. It's a stupid voicemail, and nobody's listening. They don't care. And then what do? They write you a letter. They have somebody in there writing you letters and mail you a letter. Do you know how much a stamp costs today? Guess who's paying for that stamp? You're paying for yourself to write a letter back to you to tell you that you got a message to somebody who's not listening. You know what I'm saying, guys? Like let's get past this. This is ridiculous already. Enough is enough. We have to understand that these people do not have our best interests in mind. And I'm not talking about anarchy. That's not where I'm going with this. Where I'm going with this, don't believe the bullshit. It's all bullshit. I mean, listen, and again, and I don't want to get too far off, and I think we'll shift gears a little bit, because it's just I'm getting myself worked up. Like Epstein, like, all right, so even if it wasn't the Clintons, do we believe for 1 second that guy hung himself? Do we? The sad part about it is nobody's talking about it. Right? Like, the guy hung himself. The guy was like, granted, the guy was the biggest creep on the planet, and he deserved what he got, but that guy had a lot of information. There were a lot of people out there that did a lot of nasty things, including the prince. Call you out, you prick. And took advantage of these young ladies and did a lot of shitty things to people, and he gets off easy. So, and again, people are like, oh, Clinton did it. You know what? There were many, many people throughout the world that wanted to see that man dead. because that man had a lot of information. When you got Bill Clinton in a blue dress sitting in a chair posing for you, and it's an oil painting. That's not like somebody snapped a selfie with their phone. That's legitimately an oil painting. And he had that hanging up. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like that's something. So again, I don't want the whole show to be about this and about this impeachment, but enough is enough, guys. And if you believe that, oh, let's impeach the president, if you believe that, that's fine. But I'm just going to ask you for one thing. How is that? Just explain to me and be realistic. It's not about how he makes you feel on Twitter and how he makes you feel. It's not about that. The guy is a heavy hitter and he plays by different rules. Quite honestly, quite frankly, it's refreshing. I'd rather know than not know. I've never known before. Everything was a secret. You never knew what the president was doing. You know what? Maybe a little bit transparency is a good thing, because I remember when Obama became president, he ran on the whole transparency train. That was his thing. Transparency. And you know what? It was not transparent. It was as transparent as having your head stuck in a black plastic bag. You were suffocating. You couldn't see where it was coming from. At least now, this guy's he's tweeting, he's out, this is what's going on, this is how you feel, trade deals with China and tariffs and the UN, and right, guys, seriously, these are things that I've never heard before from any president. Never mind, like, one term or one president doing, like, he's doing everything. Trump's doing everything. He's doing everything he said he was going to do. I mean, seriously, and I'm not coming to the guy's defense here, because I've told you guys in the past, I don't like the guy. I think he's a douche, but he's a good president. And again, I repeat, like, this is what you need in the arena. These are the people that are running the other countries. Where, like, there aren't nice guys running other nations. They're not nice guys. They're not all great. They're not all Canadian. Like, these are some nasty people, and he can negotiate with them. But meanwhile, because he's too busy, impeachment, now you can't deal with these situations because of seriously. I mean, I don't know what it's going to take, guys. I mean, does it take holding a sign? Is that what it takes? Like, because every idiot is on television holding a stupid sign about something stupid. How about somebody hold up a sign that says, enough with the bullshit. Enough with the government taking advantage of us and thinking that we're all stupid, because we're not stupid. We can see beyond the smoke. We know. It's all a show. It's all a bloody show. So, I mean, you guys take that information with, do with that what you will, but understand that that's pretty much how I feel about that. And again, how you feel about Trump, that's fine. And I know it's a sensitive subject, and some people, you're probably on one side and you're probably on the other. But ultimately, like, I'm just asking you to just come over to the side of logic. Just plain old logic, and look and see that if these people are spending their whole day talking about nothing, then nothing's getting done. There aren't laws being written. There are legitimate causes out there that require these people to act upon, but they're not doing that because they're sitting in rooms for 14 hours a day talking about nothing, right? So we got that out of the way. See, Steve, see what you did? And in all fairness, Steve, I will let you know that there was another question there as well that came in, and that was how I feel about the Second Amendment. And you know what, guys, I'm going to save that one, and I'm actually going to send out an invitation to Steve Silvestri. Steve, I know we've been talking about getting you on the show for quite some time now. I think it's without question we get it solid on a calendar, and we get you in the studio, and I think we have an honest and straightforward conversation about the Second Amendment. I think that's always an electrifying conversation, no matter what side of the fence you're on with that. Me personally, real quick, just to kind of just let you know, I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe that it should stay the way it is, and I don't want anybody infringing upon that. Like you guys, if anybody's listened to the podcast in the past, you know how I feel about it. Anything we have is ours, and nobody's taking it. I don't want nobody taking anything away that I already have. That's how I feel about that. But I would love to have an in-depth conversation, and I would love to talk about how I feel about the Second Amendment, how it affects me, how it affects my family, and I would like to do that with you, Steve. So I'm actually putting it out there. I know you've mentioned to me some scheduled times, and I just I have to get that penciled in and get you in here, because I know that the fans would absolutely love to hear from you. And all the great knowledge that you have about the Second Amendment, and just even in general questions. I mean, there are a lot of in-depth things, but there's a lot of in general stuff that just people aren't sure of. You know what I mean? Like even myself, there are certain things that I'm not sure of. So we'll do that, Steve. So that's just to answer your questions, and I appreciate the participation, brother. I appreciate you. Getting a couple of questions out there. You got me all fired up, man. Can you believe it, man? You got me all fired up with this whole impeachment thing, right? I mean, so, you know what? No secrets. Now you know how I feel, guys. Now you know how I feel about it. I'm just so frustrated about it. I really am. Enough is enough already. I'm sick of seeing it on the news. It's all we hear about. And you know what? And I guess if that's the worst of it, right? I mean, I don't know. But there's still just crazy things going on. I mean, just the... people running into these, just shooting people. It's insane. So, we really need to focus on our people. We need to focus on getting psychological help for these people. These are the things that we need to focus on, guys, and not impeaching. I mean, you know what? You may not like your boss, right? You might not like your boss at all. You might hate your boss, but your boss is pretty good at their job, right? They do their job every day, and because they do their job every day, you're able to do your job. And you might want to impeach your boss, but at the end of the day, you don't want their job, right? Because if you impeach them, that means you got to do it, right? Or somebody else has to do it. And then you know what they say? The rule. The devil you know is always better than the one you don't. So you be very, very careful, everyone. You know what I mean? Remember that. The devil you know is always better than the one you don't. So we'll take that one, and we'll let that one there. And you know what? Maybe we can talk about the impeachment process again. Maybe when Stevie comes on the show, maybe that's something that I know he has an opinion about that. And you know what? And I value his opinion. And Steve's a real smart guy, very educated, and I'd love to hear what his thought is on that. But you know what? Listen, I mentioned shifting gears, guys. We're going to shift gears. I mentioned like 10 days to Christmas. And I mentioned also 1998. And I figured, you know what? How cool would it be to maybe mention some of the toys, right, that were out in 1998? So either one or two things were happening in 1998. Either these toys were for you, or you were buying these toys for someone. It was either or. But you know what? Some of the cool toys, and I came across, and I'm like, oh, I forgot all about that. Do you guys remember Becky? Well, it was Barbie first. We had Barbie, right? And then Barbie, she actually came out in 1998. This is some information for you guys. Barbie came out with the Porsche Boxster, but that's not the cool thing. In 1998, they released the Becky doll. And the Becky doll was the hip and trendy photographer friend to Barbie. And she came with a camera, red stud earrings, sunglasses, and a backpack that hangs from the back of her wheelchair. Huh? How cool is that? So in 1998, they released Becky. I haven't seen it. I don't know if they stopped making the Becky. I don't know if you have some Barbie fanatics out there, but I didn't remember it until I saw it. But remember the Becky doll, guys. That was the first like Barbie, toy that she was in a wheelchair. So there you go. So some inclusion there. Which is, I think, fantastic. How about the Bash and Brawl wrestlers? You guys remember these? They were like these. They were about 20 some odd inches tall. You could twist them, you could pull them, you could bend them, and they were like wrestlers. You could do the you could pick from. It was either like Macho Man Randy Savage. You could be Hulk Hogan, Diamond Dallas Page, if you guys remember. Sting. Oh, that's so funny. And you could pull them around. You could beat the hell out of each other with them. They were great. They were fantastic. So we'll take a drink real quick. So if you remember those were fun. I do remember those. Those are a good time. What else we got here? Oh, do you guys remember the Pokemon? Yeah, Pokemon. That was, you know what? They released Pokemon. It was for the Game Boy. For the Game Boy, if you remember that. That was cool. And then the Hot Wheels, guys, you're going to remember this one. The boys. The Hot Wheels car wash. Who didn't want one of those, right? The car would go in it, you'd spin it around in a circle, it would wash. I mean, I remember seeing that commercial for years, man, and I always wanted the Hot Wheel. I never got one. Maybe you did. But yeah, the Hot Wheels car wash. I remember seeing that. That was big. And if you guys remember, the car wasn't included. You had to get your own car. That was funny. Rugrats was big. If you were, like I said, either you were getting it or you were buying it. What else was good? Spice Girls. The Spice Girls, the doll set. If you wanted to buy that doll set, that would have cost you $60 in 1998. All 5 Spice Girls fashion dolls in one cool collection. Stage your own Spice Girls concert for your friends with all 5 fashion dolls wearing new collections outfits. Include Spice Girls dolls plus 5 mini collector dolls and accessories. Huh? How about that? Tamagotchi. Do you guys remember Tamagotchi? That was that little keychain toy there with like the little egg, and you had to feed it and change the diaper. And remember? You know what? It always died. My Tamagotchi, it never survived. And you know what? I thought I did real well with it, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter what I did. It was destined. I could not keep my Tamagotchi alive. And I know the kids had them too. I think we all had them. And they were like $10 a piece at one point, but I remember we had them, and mine kept dying. How about the Furby? Who had the Furby? I had a Furby. Well, I didn't have a Furby. I had a Furby for the kids. But that was lately after. 98 was when they actually released it. And then they sold well into the I remember we got those for the kids. The Furbies. And they got better. They got smarter. When the first ones came out, they were pretty lame. They'd sit there, they'd open their eyes, they really wouldn't move around much, but they were really popular. If you guys were wondering what was going on in 98, do you guys remember the release of Windows 98? Do you? I remember that. That was, you know what? Although very exciting, it was pretty bad. Windows 98 had a lot of problems, and they ended up they did a re-release of 98, which Microsoft was great at doing. They did the 98 second edition, and I will tell you, for my Windows geeks out there, and I know you'll agree with me, guys, the Windows 98 second edition was fantastic. That ran real well. I mean, although a lot of the things that you don't have to do today, you had to do back then, drivers, all that stuff. It was still, I thought it was ahead of its time. On the second edition part of it, the original release was pretty terrible. Yeah. The United States Justice Department brings an antitrust case against Microsoft Corporation. If you guys remember that they were, and that was the beginning of it. Companies decided to create their own. That was when they were, like e-commerce was just starting, and I know that Windows was like exclusive with Internet Explorer, but you know what? Those are always tough. And when you're at the ground floor of those things, it was funny. I was watching, again, it was Sunday, so watching Good Morning, Sunday morning, and they were talking about the drones. The drones delivering your packages to your home. I mean, even now they're saying, as far as like the Amazons, Walmarts, their biggest expense is shipping, and they announced. Amazon announced that they were literally in the billions. They were losing billions in shipping costs. So obviously, for them to find a new way of getting what they call the last mile. That's what they call the last mile is the most expensive. And what they were doing is launching these drones, and have a drone so you could order something, and within an hour this drone comes flying over your house and drops a package off your house. And, that's all fine and dandy. That's great. But what are the laws? You know what I mean? And that's the question here. There are no laws written for those things. So they're in the process of doing that. And it was a lot like that back then with 98, when that stuff came out. Like we would just beginning to get into privacies and, realizing, what we were giving up. I will say it, my generation, I know that my generation and the generation before me, maybe even going into, the boomers, they won't. I mean, I know people that will not, under any circumstances, put any of their personal information in a computer. They just don't trust it. Then I have a generation, like, for example, like my kid, my son, 18 years old, who has no problem putting in his blood type online. Like, so you have a complete transitional change there, or perception, I should say, of the internet and what information could be put on there. I mean, there were a lot of companies out there that took advantage of people and were taking a lot of their data. I mean, we know. Look, the bottom line is, I think, myself and I think you'll all agree, to live in the digital world today, there are just some privacies that you just can't keep. I mean, if I want my family to know where I am, if I want to know where my family is, immediately you have to give up the privacy of your location. You know what I mean? So at any one given moment, no matter where I am, no matter what I'm doing, my family can go on their phone and they can hit it, and I show up on a map. And I wouldn't want it any other way. And I'm sure most of us, who use the technology would also feel the same way. But with that said, I have to agree that I'm giving up some of my freedoms, some of my privacy to do that. At what cost? Is it good? Is it you know what? At the end of the day, and maybe because I'm not a billionaire, and maybe if I was a billionaire, I would feel differently. But then again, if I was a billionaire, there may be some other things that I would be concerned about. But me being me, I'm not so worried about it. I mean, I think that if I want to participate, there's a cost for that. And I think if you want to participate, there's a cost for that. Should there be limits there? Should someone say, hey, look, you can't go so far? Yes. And I think that that's where we are now. And I think this generation they are writing those laws, unless they're impeaching a president, because then they'd be too busy. But if they weren't impeaching a president, then they could work with the FCC and they could put out really good and solid, legislation that would, protect, the next generation. You know what I mean? The next generation of Social Security numbers. Because quite honestly, between you and I think the actual idea of a Social Security number at some point will be irrelevant. I mean, I think at some point what's going to happen is you're going to be given an IP address, and that IP address is going to belong to you. And no matter where you plug in, no matter where you go, they're going to know exactly where you are, what you're doing, what you're purchasing, what your habits are. It will literally be again, your Social Security number in the true sense of your Social Security number. It will be social. It will secure you. And that is anybody who knows anything, I know a lot of my Comcast fans will know IPv6. This is the next generation of internet protocol technology. And the code is written in such where, now an IP address, it's limited. You can only use so many. There's only so many. But when you go into that IPv6, it becomes limitless. The amount of digits and number combinations is almost infinite. So that's something that's coming out, and that's coming sooner than later. And even now, if you would go into your settings of your modem, you look, the IPv6 is alive and it's in there. It's just a matter of them implementing it, wholeheartedly. I think there are a couple of great things about that, good and bad and everything. Good, obviously increases in speeds and bandwidth, which I think is wonderful. The bad is obviously the and again, it's, if you're not hiding, then what do you care? But ultimately, it's the lack of privacy, because now that literally when I'm online or when I'm surfing the web in any way, when I'm doing any transaction over the internet, that IP, they're going to know exactly what I'm doing and where I'm doing it. So that, how do you protect that information? And I think that's what we're struggling with now. And like I mentioned before, if we weren't too busy doing other things, then we could focus on that. But so yeah, just keep that in mind, guys. It's something that is live, it's real, and it's all around us. If you guys wanted to know, this is big. This is really, really big. You ready for this? The FDA approves Viagra for the use as a treatment male impotence and becomes the first pill to be approved to treat this condition in the United States. The blue pill. I mean, not like you can get the blue pill anymore now. I mean, it's generic. It's a white pill, but back in 1998, that's 21. Imagine that, guys. For 21 years, that pill has been out, and I know. And this is funny because I always thought that like a patent on anything was like 7 years, but apparently, if that's the case here, if the FDA approved Viagra back in 98, and just recently I believe that patent had been released. I mean, we were talking 20 years, maybe 20 years on a patent. So I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't come on here and pretend to know everything. But there you go. So I'm guessing 20 years on the Viagra patent, and it's no longer. But that, boy, talk about revolutionary. Apple Computer unveils the iMac. That was a big deal. I remember that. As a matter of fact, the other day, once again, shout out TBD. We were watching TBD, and there was a great show on there about just the history of video games and how it came up in technology, and Apple Computer was a part of that. And if you guys remember the commercial when they unveiled it, it was like the hammer, right? It was kind of odd. It was almost kind of, it was going to give you that Pink Floyd The Wall kind of sense, but it was the guy throwing the hammer and it hits breaks the glass, and they released the iMac. I mean, and the thing was, and if you know anything about Apple and you know anything about OS, it was the ability, like they were writing code. So even if there was a game that you liked, you would have the ability to write your own code. And they said that's really what really just made it explode, was that these people were just taking these basic codes and then writing out these amazing games and programs, and it just exploded. Again, putting this technology in the right hands, and it literally becomes something monumental. Guys, you're listening right now, and you're listening because of an iMac. I mean, I record the podcast on the iMac. I absolutely love it. I think it's robust. I think it's easy to use, and quite honestly, I think anything media related, it's definitely the way to go. I mean, if you don't have one or you've never used one, I'll tell you what, I don't think I'll ever go back, which I think is great. And then, of course, let me just mention this. Danish catamaran Cat Link 5 set a new world record for the fastest crossing of the North Atlantic Blue Ribbon. Look at that. They did it in 2 days. Imagine that. Who knew you could actually, in a catamaran, across the North Atlantic? Wow. Blue Rubber Band. In 2 days. Took them 17 hours and 59 minutes. That's pretty crazy. Amazing. Pretty cool. 1998. Some popular movies. You guys want to talk about movies? Let's talk about movies. Armageddon. That was huge. Aerosmith, right? That was with Ben Affleck, Liv Tyler. What a great movie that was. And you know what? That kind of ushered in that whole, the story, the romantic story behind the story. Because shortly after that, of course, guys, the Titanic, right? I mean, the records. I'm guilty, hook, line, and sinker. Kate and just a great, what a great movie. I mean, I must have watched it a million times. I did. Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, even though Leonardo DiCaprio is a bloody idiot right now. I mean, if you listen to the guy speak, he's with that Greta there and save the planet. Meanwhile, they're flying. They're driving around the country in these diesel trains. Like, it's just out of control, but. Nonetheless, Titanic was a fantastic movie. Long, but I absolutely loved it. And I know you did too. Anybody just enjoyed that movie. Saving Private Ryan. Guys, don't forgive me if I tell you that. Although I did watch it. I watched it, and I believe that it deserved, whatever all the awards that it got. I think the fact that it was part of that story and the war, and I get all that, but as a movie, it was wicked long drawn. And I'm a Tom Hanks fan. It was just kind of, I don't know. I just thought it was really, really, really long. And like I said, I like a good war movie. I mean, I'm a Forrest Gump fan. There's some great war movies. Platoon. Yeah, I mean, you could just go on and on and on. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. But another movie, Godzilla. Godzilla came out. I think that was like the first release. You know what I mean? Like they came out with like another bunch of them after that, but that was like the first one. And that was kind of another. I mean, we watched it, right? We all went to the movies to watch it, but I think it was like the beginning of. They started using like CGI. You know what I mean? There's Something About Mary, the Farley Brothers. I mean, how great is that, right? That was a great movie. A Bug's Life, I remember that. That was pretty good. Deep Impact, that was very, very good. Disney, on the Disneyland, Mulan. Back to Deep Impact. That was a good flick, if you remember that one. I enjoyed that. Mulan, Dr. Dolittle, that was with Eddie Murphy. Lethal Weapon 4. I'll tell you, sequels, I'm not, the Lethal Weapon series, I loved them all. I really did. I enjoyed them all. Maybe I'm a hypocrite. The first Avengers, that one came out. The Mask of Zorro, that was good. I think that was with Antonio Banderas. And, of course, The Wedding Singer with Mr. Adam Sandler. That was a good flick, too. That was a good movie. Yeah, The Wedding Singer. So there you go. Those are some of the movies that were released in 1998. Talk a little bit about. Let's talk a little bit about music, right? Madonna, Chumbawamba. That was a good one. Chumbawamba. Jennifer Page, Marilyn Manson. Gosh, I remember that, the hype with Marilyn Manson. That was. It's all you heard about was Marilyn Manson, and then that was a guy that just put on some makeup and acted like an asshole, and everybody was listening to that, and he made a freaking fortune. You know what I mean? Like, and they actually made him that whole tragedy in Columbine. They actually like associated Marilyn Manson with that, but ultimately, guys, it's the music. You know what I mean? It's really the music. You could say that about anything. They could have been listening to Frank Sinatra and did the same tragedy. You know what I mean? It really doesn't matter. It's what they interpret. Green Day. Guys, I'll tell you, I was Green Day okay. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that I go out and spend money on their music, but because I think all their music kind of sounds the same. But Green Day wasn't bad. Metallica was big in '98. I remember that. I mean, and that was a huge, that was a cult following. Like, you and Metallica, you knew it. And if you had a friend that liked Metallica, they made sure you knew it. Metallica, I don't know if you guys know, and I mentioned this on the last one, Metallica, they single-handedly brought down Napster. They were the ones that, the whole pay for music thing and people downloading music for free, and they went after him, and they shut him down. The Offspring, another one of my favorite albums. I enjoy Offspring. The Offspring. I had a lot of fun with that. Brings back a lot of good memories. I was thinking of the Offspring. I was in a relationship for a long time with someone, and at some point, we decided, mutually that it just wasn't working out. And then it was right around the time that the Offspring had come out with an album, and I just met someone, and it was a cool experience. It was a really, really cool experience. And when I think about the Offspring, I think about that experience. I think about that time and how much fun I had, and it was a cool summer. It was funny because it was I was with someone for a really long time. And I guess again, not to get too personal, but you spend a lot of time with with that one single person. We're going back many years. I was very young. Again, I was just 21, guys. And then you kind of get that break from them, especially when you're young like that. And then there's just so many other people around, and a lot of fun. So the Offspring, to me, the Offspring, it brings back a lot of good memories. You know, it's stuff that maybe we should, we can talk about it in another podcast. I have to remember that. So if you guys hear The Offspring come on, you'll know that I'll be talking about some really good times in my life. The Spice Girls, I mean, all right, guys, I guess. I mean, if the ladies on the show, I think, I think everybody. I mean, listen, they were worldwide popular. They were making a gazillion dollars. Don't tell me that they didn't have a following, because they did. So, a lot of people found them. Aerosmith was another big band in '98. You know, I believe they came out with they were doing the movie Armageddon, but I think it was in '98 that they were actually in my hometown of Fall River, Massachusetts, where they filmed. And I believe it won all kinds of Grammys. They actually filmed, it was a church down on Rock Street. And I believe it was, I want to say Crazy. And they filmed that video in that church. And I remember all the people and the buzz, and it was in the news. It was in the newspaper, and everybody went down there. And it was actually a really cool experience to see the whole band together. Steven Tyler is a local. He doesn't live too far away. So, you know, to have a Steven Tyler spotting is not completely out of the question, but to have seen the band all together like that and filming a video, it was pretty cool to see that. And I've always been an Aerosmith fan from the beginning. Alanis Morissette, bring back some memories for you guys. Alanis Morissette, I'll tell you what, I remember Alanis Morissette. So I want to talk about crazy memories. Wisdom teeth, right? Yeah, wisdom teeth. Had my wisdom teeth pulled out. And I remember my friend who had given me a ride home from getting my wisdom teeth pulled. They were playing Alanis Morissette. So that's what I think of. Every time I hear Alanis Morissette, I had the best for you. That's what I think of. All right, guys? I think of getting my teeth pulled. Shania Twain, how about her? Don't deny it. Y'all listened to it. You did. Whose Boots? I know. You did. Don't deny it. Shania Twain was huge. And then Sublime. Another great band. You guys, you got to love Sublime. That was a great time. If anybody, even in this area, if you knew anything about anything, you could go to Providence. And we had a couple of clubs out there that, man, the grind. It was, you know what? There was some great times, man. And listening to Sublime, 311, you know, SugarRay, like all those bands, those grunge bands, they were fantastic. And we had a lot of fun, man. We did a lot of fun listening to that music. Janet Jackson, if anybody was a fan of Janet Jackson in '98, I was not a huge fan. A couple of songs here and there, but not a super huge fan. Some popular TV shows for you guys, and this one won't surprise you. America's Funniest Home Videos. How about that? That was probably, I think, number 2 show in 1998. The Jerry Springer Show was on in 98. Dateline NBC was on. Frasier, if anybody listened to Frasier, Kelsey Grammer. The Late Night with Conan O'Brien. He's still on. I don't know that it's the late now. And he's on, I believe he's on TBS now. I think he produces his own show. Star Trek Deep Space Nine. That was terrible. I don't know if anybody, you know, guys, any of my fans out there that like sci-fi. I'm not even sure. Were you Deep Space Nine? Were you a fan? I wasn't. Not a fan at all. The late show with David Letterman was still on. If you guys remember Dave Letterman, he was a staple. You know, and he did some crazy shit too, and he stayed on there. You know what? Today, man, forget it. Like, you fought the wrong way, and you're not on TV anymore, man. Dave Letterman did some crazy shit, and he stuck around for a little bit. He apologized, so they let him stay. Then Nanny with Fran Drescher. Remember her? Yeah, that was a popular show. The X-Files. ER was huge. ER was absolutely huge. That was a big show. Friends. What's bigger than Friends, right? And now, I only know this because Rachel's a huge fan. But they're doing an actual exhibit in Boston. I believe you can go to the Common in Boston, and they have the whole Friends setup. You know, the couch. They got the couch, the water fountain, the whole deal, and you can go and take selfies. They open it at certain hours, and you can go there and you can take a selfie. Not my thing, but I would go. I mean, if friends wanted to go and take some selfies, I guess. I mean, if you could be included as one of the, right? Like, that's pretty cool, right? If someone considers you a friend, like the Friends, I guess we all wanted that kind of, right? We all wanted that, didn't we? Star Trek Voyager, that was terrible. The Drew Carey Show, that was absolutely friggin' horrible. Thank God he's doing The Price is Right, because that show was absolutely terrible. Never understood that one. Seventh Heaven, I was never a fan of that. Everybody Loves Raymond, yeah, I was a fan. Like that show. It still comes on every now and then. Funny. I like it. I mean, although dry, it is funny. I will tell you this right now, and anybody who knows me, I don't care. I absolutely love Judge Judy. I'm a huge fan. Love her. I love the fact that she's upfront. I love the honesty. She's no bullshit. I'm telling you, regardless of what side you're on with her, man, like, I absolutely love Judge Judy. Like, who can't appreciate honesty on that level, right? Buffy the Vampire Slayer, King of the Hill. That was terrible. You know what? Of all the things Fox did, I think King of the Hill was probably one of their biggest mistakes. South Park, huge South Park. I mean, everybody knows South Park. You know South Park. Everybody. How many generations has South Park touched? Stargate SG-1, huge fan. Loved it. I love it. I love Stargate. I like to watch it. I enjoy it. The Practice, didn't watch it. Teletubbies was big. And, of course, the longest running show on television, guys, The Simpsons. It was out in 98. And it's, you know what, and I've mentioned it a couple of times, I think it's just absolutely crazy how the show has actually predicted a bunch of stuff. But it has. And they continue to do it. Somehow they continue to figure that. I don't know how they do it. If they're just guessing and it could go either way. So they might be wrong 100 times and right twice. And we know about the times they're right and don't know about the times that they were wrong. Well, that's pretty great. That's 1998, guys. That's 1998 in a nutshell. That's pretty much everything that was going on, just to kind of give you a touch and feel of what was going on at that time. I mean, I don't know what you guys are up to, but it was a good year for me. I enjoyed 1998. We went to Mexico. That was the first time, guys, I'll be honest with you, that was the first time I'd ever left the country. I'd never left the country up until that point. And like I mentioned, we talked about it in the last podcast, Gary and a couple other friends, Dennis. It was surreal. It was unbelievable. The idea that you could go to a place like that and be treated, literally like royalty. Whatever you wanted. It was outside of my realm of understanding, and I just absolutely loved it. Guys, speaking of loving it, I haven't mentioned Etsy at all today. www.etsy.com/shop/ the Bobby Couto Show. I got to tell you, if we're doing fantastic. I think it's amazing that to see the product kind of just go out. It does, like I mentioned to you guys in the past, it really helps fund the show. Again, we're not making keep saying we, it's just me. Not making astronomical amounts of money, but the little that we are taking in, that I am taking in, does help offset some of the costs of the show, which is fantastic. And again, my goal really is, I'm not looking to turn a profit. Really, I just whatever I get, I invest into the show. And proof positive to that, if you guys are following on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, you'd notice I did post some really cool pictures of the studio. Did some upgrades. I know I mentioned it earlier in the podcast, but these are some really great upgrades that I think is just going to just help with the continuity and longevity of the show. I think that I have to keep the show relevant and keep it flowing. And just and every time you turn it on, I want it to be better than the last time. I want it to touch you in a different way than it did the previous one. If I made you giggle at the last one, I want to make you laugh on this one. If I made you sad on the last one, then I want to make you cry on this one. I mean, I want it to be always exceeding your expectations, always going above and beyond what you're expecting. I want you guys to turn this on and not want to turn it off, and enjoy this journey with me. You know what I mean? And speaking of journeys, not all of our journeys are as inspirational, touching, and heroic as this individual. He single-handedly brought awareness to a disease that affects millions, and to this date, this individual and his cause has raised well over $115 million in donations to ALS research. And of course, I am talking about Mr. Pete Freitas. He is a local of Massachusetts, New England. Huge sports fan. If you guys watch the news, you've seen him on the news. And he's the one that actually they came up with the ice bucket challenge. And it just swept. I was going to say the country, but it literally swept the world. It really just kind of it shined this awareness on a disease that a lot of people didn't know about. And unfortunately, we lost him. But in the words of his dad, we're going to celebrate. It's time to celebrate his life and realize that how much good and how much impact that he had on the world, on everybody. Again, like I said, we all live, but very few of us ever have that type of impact on people, on a whole generation of people. And they say that they're going to continue to do the Ice Bucket Challenge, and they'll continue to raise money for the cause. And guys, if you needed the cause, I mean, what better one than that? So rest in peace, Pete. We appreciate your life, and we will never forget you for all the great and wonderful charity that you have done. And speaking of charity, guys, if you haven't noticed, the Bobby Couto Show officially is requesting donations for St. Jude's as well as the Shriners Children's Hospital. It's just a small. It's really, I didn't want to make it huge. I didn't want to make it this big deal. I figured, 2020 was a great number. We're right around the corner of the new year, 2020. So I did start a campaign in hopes that the show can generate $2,020 for those charities. If you guys haven't done so already, please go over to the Facebook page. The link is right there. Just click right on it. And it'll take you right over. And again, whatever you can donate, it would be greatly appreciated. And remember, again, like I mentioned it in the tweet, we all could use a little help this time of the year. But these kids need help all year round. And if you could go over there and just show your support. And like I said, it doesn't have to be $100. It can be whatever you can afford, but every little bit, that every little bit is going to help someone who really needs it. So if you're looking for a cause, those two are very near and dear to me. And the idea that we can help some of these kids with not much, you know what I mean? Again, for the price of a Big Mac, you could literally change the life of a child. So I hope you guys will go over there to the Bobby Couto Show on Facebook. And again, all the links on Twitter. You pick one, and you can find it. You can get there and go make your donations before time runs out. And I also wanted to talk about just a couple more things, guys. And I don't want to. Geez, we're already an hour and 18 minutes in, but I just wanted to again reach everyone and just check in on everybody, and see how you're doing. Again, we're right in the middle of the holidays. Christmas is right around the corner. Just a couple more days, pretty much almost less than a week away. And just make sure that you guys are all in check. Realizing, again, I was out and about today, and I'll be honest with you, man. Some people are just like cray, right? I mean, people are determined. And I think that, the stores are open late, so there's really no reason to rush around and, pretend like you're going to be late going somewhere. But maybe just take a minute, slow down, and just you know what? I shopped today, guys. I was in the stores and I was looking around. I didn't make it about running in there and grabbing what I needed and running back out. I wanted to enjoy the experience. You know what I mean? I'll talk to anybody, and I wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and I try to enjoy the experience. So, what the hell's the point? I mean, what's the point of going out and being part of the problem and not being part of the solution? And trying to enjoy these moments. I'm so grateful that, and I don't want to sound corny, but the truth of the matter is, I'm really grateful that we have the ability to do it. When I think back of my childhood, and I think back of the struggle, and my mom, she raised two boys, and things were tough. Money was tight, and somehow she'd always manage. Granted, we always didn't get everything, but she'd never forget a Christmas or a birthday, or a special moment. And I guess that's what we do now. With the ones we love. I do it with my kids and my granddaughter and my wife, of course, and my friends. And I think about their lives and what it is that they struggle through. And sometimes it's a man's measure. I guess the best way to put it, guys, is you don't appreciate warm, dry socks until your socks get wet and cold, right? I mean, that's really what I'm saying. Those warm socks that you have on right now that are keeping your feet warm, like, you don't appreciate those until you happen to step in a couple of puddles and it's freezing and your toes are numb. Then you can't wait for those nice dry socks. That's all I'm saying. So to each his own. I think that just because your situation is at a certain point or a certain way doesn't mean that everyone else's is. So we get caught up in these secret Santas and outdoing one another, and I'm getting this, I'm getting that. When it's all said and done, guys, I think time, time is the one thing that you can't get back. So take that time with someone. Take that time with a loved one and have a conversation and really enjoy these holidays. I'm so excited for this Christmas. We're going to be doing, we're going old school Portuguese this Christmas. We're going to go visiting a lot of our families, and as crazy as it sounds, we haven't done this in a really long time. And the real sad part of this is, granted, this is, I only say sad part of it is that it's taken this long to get to this point. We almost lost these people. We were spending some time in the ICU at the hospital this year, and weren't sure if we were going to have these people around for the holidays. So these holidays are that much more special. And again, I think with all of us, we learn to appreciate life a little more when you realize that we are not immortal. And when you again, we all understand that idea, but do you really believe it? And I think that there comes a point where they say the price for wisdom is gray hair, and I think in this situation that is such that you appreciate the time much more than the money as you grow older. But the unfortunate part is that you got to get there, and it really is unfortunate that there are a few out there. There are some of you are out there that are smart enough to get it right at the beginning. You realize that hey, wait a minute, this I could be doing better, and they realize it young, and they get a lot more out of their lives, and they feel like their lives are more fruitful. But for the most of us, we find ourselves caught up in work and just taking care of our loved ones and our children, and before you know it, you're in your 40s, and you realize, hey, wait a minute, I'm not going to get many more of these, so I should take the ones that I have and cherish those. And if it means taking a selfie to remember, then that's what you need to do. So that's today's message, guys, is really just to kind of reflect back and realize that, you know what, everybody's situation is their own. Even over the weekend, I got some text messages from, a particular individual who's going through a real rough time in his life. And he reaches out to me and just sometimes just looking for, whether it be just, some words of encouragement, or maybe, he wants to hear me tell him to, hey, listen, man, that's a stupid idea. And, I think you should reconsider. So that puts it in perspective for me. I look forward to the weekends. I work all week, and come Friday, like I'm so looking forward to my weekend with my family. But that's not the case for everyone, and that's what I'm mentioning to you all is that not everybody is in the same situation as you, and I think we just need to be a little sensitive to that. And regardless of whether it's the holidays or it doesn't matter what it is. I just think that we need to just stop and look outside of ourselves and realize that, again, we only measure what we know. So in order to do that, you need to step outside of yourself and look at the person standing on the side of you, and realize that maybe, what they're struggling with is a lot harder and taxing than what your struggle is. So right. I mean that's pretty fair to say. And that really struck me today when I was thinking about it. And you look around and you see all these people and they're shopping, and for the most part, a lot of people are happy and enjoying the the time that they're spending shopping. But again, how many of those people are not able to make it out, right? How many of those people are not able or can afford to go to the store and purchase something for the ones that they love? I mean, I know we take it for granted. My biggest concern, as I'm sure you all, the same thing with you all the parents and all the brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles out there, is you want to get something nice for the kid, right? You want to get something nice for the person. You don't want to overspend. You don't want to underspend. But really, ultimately, is that what it's about? Is it about just getting something to just get something? It was funny. It was in the store today, and again, we're shopping, and it's like stocking stuffers, right? When you're thinking about stop and think about your stocking stuffers this year's guys. Here's a PSA for you. Don't buy it just to buy it. Like, what are you buying? Are you buying junk to stuff in your stockings just to fill the stocking? I mean, make it relevant. You know what I mean? Maybe you stick a couple of Reese's peanut butter cups in there. Maybe you stick some Snickers in there. Make it relevant. Make it count. The person I'll just call her out. I was shopping with Rachel today, and she picked out, like, she was doing like stocking stuffers, and she picked out this gaudy keychain, and she's like, "Oh, I want to get this for Megan." And I look at the thing, and it's like $6. And it's the biggest piece of shit on the planet. And you know what? And this is by no way, shape, or form. This is nothing against it. But it matched. There was something else that she had, and it matched, and it coordinated, and it was together. It was cute. But ultimately, like, when you looked at the keychain, like, she was never going to use this thing. Like, it was just gaudy. It was huge. It just wasn't going to work. But they were going to sucker her for like $6 for it. So it's like you say to yourself, you just got to stop. Hold on a second. Wait a minute. Stop. Wait. What the hell am I buying here? Right? And what am I doing with it? That's what I'm saying. Watch, right? Just, literally, like, when I say watch your spending, like, legitimately, like, watch your spending. Like, what are you buying? What's the purpose of that? Are you just buying it just to buy it? Like, does it make any sense? Right? You guys work hard for your money, right? I know I do. And I don't want to just blow it on anything. And if I'm going to spend my money on something, I want to get something for someone that they're really going to enjoy it. As I'm sure that's the goal and what you want to do, right? We are all Santa Claus, right? And you want to get it right. You got the list, right? You got to go through the list. You better. I hope you guys turn in your list. I turned my list, and I'm hoping Santa brings me some goodies I want for the studio. So I'm really, especially for the guests. So if you guys are future guests of the show, you better help me, cross my fingers, wish me that I get these things, because they're going to be great for the guest. And that's, guys, you know what? Really, that's pretty much the show. I wanted to talk about those couple of things. I know you guys are busy, and I don't want to make out a whole long drawn episode that you guys are not going to get to. I know that for most of you, it might even be a short week, and getting into the holidays and everybody, the hustle and bustle of just being out and shopping. But I just wanted to put a lighthearted episode together. I thought 1998 was a great year. I thought it had some relevance and correspondence, of course, with the whole Bill Clinton impeachment, and of course with the current impeachment of Trump. I thought that kind of all went well together. So I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I mean, SugarRay, that's good flicks, kind of uplifting music, make you feel good about yourself, right? And that's what this is all about, guys. I mean, I hope that this episode reached you in a good place, and I hope that you're all fighting the good fight through this holiday season. As I mentioned before, guys, it's all about having a little bit more patience this time of the year, and just kind of just dealing a little bit more with it. Maybe you might have to wait an extra 5 minutes. We went to Ocean State Job Lot today, because I'll tell you what, guys, for my wood, I know I mentioned it a couple of times, my wood burning stove, I absolutely love that thing. I also like using EnviroLogs. I don't know if you guys have seen EnviroLogs or if they're available where you are, but it's literally a compacted log of cardboard that's dipped in like wax, and it burns. I mean, these things, you get them. I don't use it as a primary source of heat, but I like to start my fires with it. So the last couple of days we had some warm weather, so I haven't had a fire. So everything, the coals go out. So now when I go light a nice fresh fire, I'll throw an EnviroLog in there and I'll light the baby up. And it gets the fire going up quick. But anyway, look, to the point of what I was saying, we went to Ocean State Job Lot today, and of course we go through the whole store, we shop, we got everything. I did pick up a couple more things for the studio too. But anyway, I picked up my EnviroLogs, and then I went and go check out. When I went to check out, the girl's like, "Oh, it's not working." I'm like, "What's not working?" She goes, "The credit card machine's not working." And guys, I don't know about you, but I'm not carrying any cash with me. I got no cash with me whatsoever. She's like, "Well, is it credit? Because we can put it." I'm like, "Yeah, we can. Let's do credit. Like, let's just." So we're going through the whole process, and here, you know what? Thank God for technology, right? So it wouldn't work with the card. So eventually, I'm like, "Listen, do it again. I'm going to use my watch." And I did. I used my Apple Watch. I paid with my Apple Watch. It went through as credit and no problem. So there you go. If you can't use your cards, guys, use your Apple Watch. Pay for it. Get what you need, and you get out of there. But, the whole point is I didn't get upset about it. Like, nobody was upset. We waited. There were people in line. They understood. And, the manager was there, and she was on the phone with tech support, and you could see that she was stressed out. And, if anything at all, I was just going to make the situation worse if I was upset or angry. But I'll tell you what, I was ready to push my carriage off to the side, and I would have went to the ATM and got the cash and came back and got it. To me, it wouldn't have been a problem. So, I was willing to do that. Just to see that the staff, they were willing to do whatever they could. And granted, it's technology, right? It's not always going to work. We were at TJ Maxx, the lights went out. So, some crazy stuff going on. It's, you know what? I'd rather have that than dealing with earthquakes. You know what I mean? People think, right? Earthquakes and volcanoes. That's some crazy shit going on in the world, right? We could talk about this stuff for hours. But guys, listen, I hope that, again, I hope this episode reaches you healthy and happy and fulfilled. I hope you guys aren't too beat up from the holidays. I'm sure that they're not being easy on you, but again, the more love we give back, the easier it's going to get for everybody. So I ask you all to just hang in there, man. Keep your patience, and know that once we get through the holidays, 2020 is right around the corner, and we're just going back to normal again, right? Like, isn't the holidays fun? Isn't it great? Right? I think that the holidays just kind of add some action to the year, other than just the on and on mundane stuff, right? We get a little action, the lights, big decorations, eating out. Friends, people looking good, dressing up nice. We got to look forward to this stuff. I know I do. I absolutely love it. I can't wait. And if you guys, you know what? Speaking of which, if you guys have noticed on my Facebook story, I got my mom on there today, guys. I real quick, I go see my mom every Sunday. I make it a point to go see my mom every Sunday. I want to at least see her. We live in different towns, but I need to see her at least once a week, and I get to see her typically more than once a week, because she drives my granddaughter and my son back and forth, and so I do run into her throughout the week. But on Sundays, it's kind of like our time, and If you guys haven't had a chance to get over there, get over to Facebook and go look at the story. And the funny thing is we're talking about the holidays, and she's cooking a bunch of food for Christmas and New Year's. So if you guys want to laugh, go over there and check that out. And again, if you guys haven't done so, go check out the Etsy shop. Go get yourself a T-shirt. Go get yourself a mug. We got the pillow over there. We got some great stuff. It's still not too late to make it for the holidays, for Christmas. Get your loved one. Get them the Bobby Couto Show gear. You know that's what they want, right? And fellas, have you seen that Razorback tank top for the ladies? I mean, come on now. What are you waiting for? Wouldn't you want to see your lady walking around the house wearing that thing, right? I know I want to see mine walking around with it. So, hint, hint, right? Go over www.etsy.com/shop/the Bobby Couto Show and go show your support for the show, guys. You kill two birds with one stone. You're getting something really, really nice. You're supporting something you really, really love, and everybody's happy. I know it makes me happy. So, I mean, do that. You get over there and do it. Right? Why not? Why wouldn't you do it? Yeah, you have to. And you know, and I'm going to do this one last thing, and then I'll kind of walk us out of here. But I had one more question that came up, and of course, I want to answer all the questions that I get. Otherwise, you don't get any questions. And the question was, what do I like most and least? What's the most like activity? Like, what do I like the most and what do I like the least? And I will tell you guys, my favorite activity, it's not one specific thing. And I'm actually really excited about going to see my uncle and spending the time with the family, because really it's all about the food. If anybody knows me, I absolutely love to eat. I love to drink. I love it all. I think it's just one of the senses that I enjoy the most. So I'm really, really looking forward to eating, hanging out with the family. What I'm not looking forward to, I'll be honest with you guys, I'm getting a little shopped out. There is still some shopping to do. I still got some more shopping to do. I won't lie to you guys. I'm cutting it close. So the struggle is real for me as well. But if I had to pick one least activity, I'm gonna have to say it's the shopping right now. Like I think I'm shopped out. I think I had a lot of momentum there at the beginning, and now I'm kind of like, I'm kind of like tired. I ran a little too long, right? I'm sure you guys too. But you know what? This is the last minute stuff that you kind of looking through your stuff to see what you can re-gift and like, right? Am I right? Don't deny it. You know you all do it. We all re-gift, right? I'm going to get the t-shirt. I re-gifted this t-shirt and see how that does, right? You know, and listen, and the Patriots won today. I mean, what's better than that? I mean, literally, seriously. I mean, we got to win. I mean, granted it was Cincinnati, but I'll take it. I'll take it, right? I mean, that or somebody send me Antonio Brown. Like I already said it. All I want for Christmas is Antonio Brown. I think all that Tom Brady wants is Antonio Brown. So why the heck isn't Antonio Brown here yet, right? Answer me that question. If somebody can answer me that question, then I think the world would be at peace, right? I think we'd be all in great shape. Guys, listen, I just want to say thank you to everybody once again. The support for the show continues to grow. It's absolutely amazing, and I think that I'm really enjoying the flow of the show, the content, the way it's being delivered. But I will also say that I am never satisfied. So I invite everyone, if you have some opinions, some suggestions, some other elements you'd like to add to the show, I would love to do that. I think that bringing in the guests are really going to bring in different types of conversation, different aspects, different topics. So that's really where I'd like to bring in, if you're just kind of going along with me here, guys, as I think out loud. If I think of the growth of the show and just the evolution of the show, I think that I'd like to do these one-on-ones with you guys, where I think it's really the core of the show. And then maybe every other or maybe every 2 or every 3rd episode, maybe bring in a guest and somebody new, maybe bring in some repeat guests that, again, the show could be driven by you, by the fans. So if you guys tell me what you're enjoying, tell me what you like, then we'll continue to. I'll continue to make it as pleasurable and fulfilling as I possibly can, because you guys know that for me, this is really a dream come true, and the fact that I get behind this mic every week and I'm able to deliver this message to you, I think it really is the icing on top, the cherry. And I couldn't do it without you. I couldn't do it without my friends. I couldn't do it without my family and the amazing support that I'm getting from everyone. I can't express to everyone how much and how thankful I really am. But you guys all know, because at the end of the day, you know that all roads lead here.